Right, I hope this is a short video. It's it might get longer than I want, but you shouldn't do. It's about placing a figure using Redux. So we'll start at the beginning. You turn everything off except for your Redux here. So we have Redux, which I'm assuming you know how to use Redux. I'm not going to go over that. This workflow will be in there. So you can go and look for the missing nodes, etc. It's pretty standard. I'm using a pretty standard Flux workflow. You might have to change your, the model over to the one that you're using, but other than that, there's nothing unusual about it at all. So I quite often use a place figure when I generate a background here, and then I put a figure into it. So I have this section down here in between this and the refine, but it doesn't always place the figure very convincingly, and you have to do several refines. So I worked out a way of doing it that gives you less control but better results. And that's a thing with these methods generally, is that too much control and you don't get the benefit of the imagination of the model, and you don't get exciting, unexpected things happening, and too much, not enough control, and you get slop. you can't win. This is an attempt to have your cake and eat it, and it's a fairly flexible way of doing it, but it's not precise and it's not intended to be. So what we have here is a background. It's already got a figure in it, so it's not a great choice of background, but never mind. And what I want to do is place a robot in it. So what we'll do is we'll go and look for a different background. We'll just randomly choose one from in here. Okay, that's quite nice. So we've got a background. We have a robot. Let's make friends. So I am using, and there's a little note here to tell you, a PNG with a mask already there. You can just draw a mask, works absolutely fine. It doesn't have to be precise. In which case you there's an invert mask here somewhere. Yeah, you have to turn that off, bypass it like that. If you draw a mask, just because PNG masks are the wrong way around. For some reason I don't quite understand. Or more likely the comfy masks are the wrong way around. So with everything turned off down here, we can just click go and preview the result. There we are. There's our robot in there. And we can change the size of our figure. And we do that here. You see, rescale factor. So let's just take it down to 1, shall we? So there we are, there's our robot a little, and we want to see his feet, so maybe we'll go down a bit more. There we are, we might have a little tiny bit down more, 80 maybe, 85. There we go. And we can move him up and down, see the composite mask here. If we increase the Y, we move him down. It's got to go a bit further down that. That's all right, I don't mind that foot going off. And then we can move him across a bit on the X. And there we go, there's our robot in position. Now he's a bit the same colour as everything else. So let's make him a bit golden. And we have our colour tints here. Let's go yellow first. Yeah, that's pretty yellow. He's very golden robot. He's a bit too much. But we can adjust the image here. So that's very saturated, you see. So we can take the saturation down a bit. And we can warm him up a bit. Oh, that was cooling him down a bit. And we can swing the hue around. Just though everything you want to do with the colour correct, you can do here. He's got a bit red. Let's just move it a little bit across. That's better. He's sort of coppery golden colour. And the strength of that is a bit over the top. So we can control strength here. Maybe 0.5. That's all lovely. We might take the brightness down one more notch. That's much better. And then we can do the same, mess about with the colour here. So I could make him more greeny, the background that is. That's quite nice. I quite like that. So we've got essentially our figure in there, which is going into Redux, and the style strength. We've got the great way of doing it this way is you got lots of lovely things you can adjust. So you can adjust the style strength, you can adjust the prompt strength against it, all sorts of jolly stuff. And that is being fed down here into the image to image. So this is going into here and is being used for image to image. So I can actually, let's make this always, I can control that here. So I can have the latent not being influenced by the image, or I can have it later. So I can put the same guide image into both the latent and the conditioning line. So I've got the same image going into both. And that should position my figure within this slot. Down here we've got a bit of fun. I like a bit of fun. This is a way of building a prompt. I'll leave this in here just because it's a bit of a laugh. So what you got is the medium, what it's done in, which you pick from here. You just copy whatever medium you want and paste it in there. You got the subject. We're using a mech subject, so there's lots of lovely bits of prompting in there. And then you got where they are, and then the general mood. So you can see the prompt is made up of a digital illustration in Photoshop of a huge battered mech made of all electric gear bolted together, etc., etc. In front of massive towers of rack servers, all with ready lights and wiring. It should reflect the image you're trying to put in, obviously, and a light through dirty windows, etc., etc. And this lot here will join all that together into a single prompt, and that goes in here. Then it goes up into Redux, and then down into there. So we'll run that and see what our golden. I should probably mention the robot is golden. Take a brass robot, shall we? There we are. I'm lost. Where am I? Here we are. Huge battered brass mech. That should deal with that. So let's run and let's see what happens. I seem to have got a person lure in there by accident. I was putting a young lady in a spacesuit into it earlier, so that's left over from that. There he is. There's our robot. Not really brassy. Let's take out our girl. Nice though. Very nice, and in the right position. A funny thing behind. Yeah. But that's the interesting thing about this method is that it still gives the model quite a lot of leeway to shift stuff around. We might have to say copper and brass to make the. There we go. That's quite nice. Very nice, actually. And the look of this is coming from these LoRa's here. So there's old electronics there. Just a general clean-up one. What we could do is actually put a different robot. We'll put a robot. I can't say robot. A robot LoRa in. There, here. Too many LoRa's. And we've got something called Decobot. There we are. Decobot V2, which makes very fancy robots. Let's see what difference that makes. The trouble with LoRa's is it'll fancy up the electronics as well. There we go. I rather like that. As you see, it's refined the robot and made the robot a bit slicker. It's changed this, but it's still left it in a sort of they're images from the control stations of the LoRa I made. Is that images from derelict power station control rooms and cockpits in old aircraft and various old electronic stuff, which I think makes rather a nice aesthetic. So what you can do now is just click through some seeds. There we go. Seems to very much want to give it a turquoise chest. But anyway, so now you see the sort of control we have. We can mess about with this. If we want we have to turn this off, and then we can play around up here. So maybe our robot should be a little redder. So we can change our colour tint on the robot to red or orange. Try red. He's quite nice and red. Maybe give him a bit more gamma. You can play around to your heart's content anyway. So he's a bit saturated. There you go. He's rather a nice thing. He could be a copper robot. Let's change our robot to copper. It's more or less ignoring my colour prompt here anyway. So I see why it's completely. Didn't bother to read my own prompt here. Blue grey, just square boxy. No wonder it was. Glowing red eyes, I think that we want them blue. I think that's all good. So turn this back on again, and we should see our robot change. But that mistake in the prompt just showed you that you can actually have quite nice control. So I could have prompted the legs red and so I could change the colours by prompting. So that's one great thing about using the Redux thing. It's not too... And there we go. Look at that. That's rather fun. And you see it all merges together very beautifully because my denoise is really high. So that... and we'll just do one more thing. We move the robot across just so you can see you can move it around. You have to turn this off every time. So let's move the robot across. And you see, it doesn't copy the thing I like about this is it's not too literal. So I can position my robot right over here, and then that should be reflected when I run it. No, it won't be. I know. It'll keep the robot on that side just to spite me. And there we go. A robot on the other side. And this method does have a really useful aspect in that the generations you get from it, the robot is really well integrated into the scene. We've got great consistency throughout the image, which you tend to lose when you put the place figure in between here and there. So I think on the whole this method is superior. If you want more control, then you need to put this module in this place here. But I think for making nice generations, we'll just refine it. For making nice generations, I think this is the way to go. As you see, there's one I did earlier, which has a really nice feel, and the robot is from exactly the same place as the servers, which you don't tend to get as nicely when you put the figure in. And I've got another video already up about placing figures, and I think this is a superior method. Look at that! What joy! Okay, and there's all this lot down here. I'll quickly demonstrate what it does. It's not really relevant to this, but seeing as it will be there, I'll show you. So what this does is refine. So robot's not got much of a head. So let's move this across so we can see the robot's head. There we go. So we might refine the whole chest of the robot, shall we? So we'll move that up a bit. So you can this is cropping a bit out. It's just cropping a bit of that out. And then we do another refine on that. There we go. So as a refined head. And we just go into Mask Editor, roughly zip round the bits you want. I don't like it when it puts chimneys in. It really likes putting chimneys in. I can't persuade it not to. So there is our refined robot. We'll run that. So that's nice. And at this point, actually, which is quite fun, you can iterate. So we can do another seed. And I'll bring it in close. You'll see the chest of the robot change. There we go. For the old one. And anyway, you can iterate through there, and you can set the denoise to make big changes or whatever. It hasn't really aced the blue eyes thing, has it? It's got blue eyes in its shoulders. Oh, I prefer that one. That one's quite nice. So you can do as many chests as you want. If you put up the denoise, you might even get your blue eyes. Let's have a go, just for fun. We got 65. And another C. Let's see if we get blue eyes. It's in the prompt. That's what's making these two blue eyes in his shoulders. Hey, look at that. We've got blue eye. And blue eye. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. That's quite a good improvement. And then the final thing that I'll leave in here is lighting. Because it's not great lighting. So we can actually relight afterwards. So if we run. So what this does is you can relight it. And we can move, this is the glow, this is the light here. We can move that around. So move it over to our robot. And as you see, you can move it around. Isn't that fun? It actually improves, if we reduce the blur, it'll go brighter in the middle. This actually improves images a lot, taking the time and the trouble to do this. I'll just bring the how it was before over, so you can do side by side. It's really good for adding mood. So this is all And as soon as you've got this in here, we've got a much better focus in our image and so forth. So I generally do bring this over here so I can compare the two. So this controls, we have the saturation to nothing. We'll increase the contrast, increase the brightness. And as you see, I can give my robot zing just with a click of a button. And you can change the colour. You see it's gone cooler. Cooler still. That's too cooler. It's more like it. So it gives you pretty good control. The brightness is down for that as well. So we get this nice vignette. There we go. I think that's it. Thanks for your attention. So a short video. I did manage to make a short video. It's almost a first. So I hope that was useful, interesting. The workflow will be in. I'll put a link to the LoRa's perhaps. I've been exiled from CivitAI because I live in Britain, and we're not allowed to look at CivitAI anymore because there's dreadful things that would damage our minds. But I don't care too much. I didn't like it much anyway. Okay, that's the lot.